of northern Luzon in the Philippines lies a cave so ancient that even time seems to breathe in its stone walls. For thousands of years, it kept a secret nobody could even have imagined, a secret which would make science reconsider and rewrite the story of humans. It was there, in that dark chamber, that scientists found bones smaller than a child's finger, yet they carried with them the weight of an evolutionary bombshell. What if these bones were not from us or even from any human species we knew? What if another kind of human had lived, thrived, and vanished on this remote island? It started quietly in 2007, when a team of Filipino and French archaeologists explored the Callao Cave system in Cagayan Valley. Deep inside layer 10 of the sediment, they found a tiny foot bone, delicate, curved, and utterly unlike that of modern humans. The team first thought it might belong to a small child or a primate. But as more remains appeared in subsequent excavations, teeth, finger bones, and fragments of thigh, the realization slowly dawned that this was something entirely new. A new species of human had been found. They named it Homo luzonensis. No more than 1.2 meters tall, Homo luzonensis combined features from all across the human family tree. The molars were small and simplified, as in our own, but their premolars resembled ancient ones, and the fingers curved in a trait largely restricted to the more than 2 million-year-old species, Australopithecus. The scientists on hand were astounded by its peculiar mix of modern and primitive anatomy. It was as if evolution had picked up pieces from different times and assembled one being. Before we dive deep into what that means, let's remind ourselves, this is why GenealogyX exists, to bring you true, science-backed stories of who we are and where we came from. Subscribe now if you want to see how every new fossil and every strand of DNA continues to rewrite the human epic. So how did Homo luzonensis reach this remote island in the first place? Even during the Ice Age, Luzon was surrounded by deep-sea channels. No land bridge ever connected it to the mainland. The presence of these early humans means that they, or their ancestors, must have crossed open water. That single fact changes everything. It suggests that seafaring, once thought unique to Homo sapiens, may have been practiced by far older species. Perhaps they drifted accidentally on storm-tossed rafts of vegetation. Perhaps they deliberately crossed, guided by instincts we no longer understand. Whatever the case, by 67,000 years ago, Homo luzonensis was living and evolving on an island few modern humans could have reached. In their isolation, they shrank and adapted, developing their own form. This is called island dwarfism. Large animals become smaller over generations due to scant resources. We see it in pygmy elephants and island deer, and now, apparently, in humans. The same pattern occurred in Homo florensis, otherwise known as the hobbits of Indonesia, another small human species that was discovered in 2003. Their respective homes were thousands of kilometers apart, yet they both had remarkably similar adaptations. Could they share a common ancestor? Many anthropologists believe so. Genetic studies of surrounding regions showed traces of the ancient population that mixed with early Homo sapiens and Denisovans. No viable DNA has yet been extracted from the fossils of Homo luzonensis. The tropical humidity destroys genetic material quickly. But scientists believe that their lineage might connect to an older wave of migration from Asia, possibly descended from Homo erectus or even a more primitive ancestor. Evidence thus points to a complex family tree across Southeast Asia, one where several human species coexisted and maybe even encountered one another. Imagine it, 70,000 years ago, as modern humans left Africa, small, agile islanders with curved fingers climbed Luzon's trees. To the north, Denisovans roamed the mountains of Siberia. To the west, Homo erectus survived in Java. The world wasn't ruled by one human. It was shared by many. If all these species overlapped in time, did they meet? Did they compete or communicate? Could Homo luzonensis have seen the first modern humans arrive by sea? And if so, what happened when their worlds collided? Archaeologists have found stone tools in Kalinga, also in northern Luzon, that date back more than 700,000 years, long before Homo sapiens appeared. Those tools were found near the remains of a butchered rhinoceros, evidence that ancient humans had been on the island far earlier than anyone thought possible. Whether those toolmakers were ancestors of Homo luzonensis remains unknown, but the timeline suggests a continuous human presence stretching back hundreds of millennia. Each new find has chipped away at the tidy, linear view of human evolution that had been taught for so long in textbooks. It now seems that evolution was never a ladder, but a tangled forest of branches, some dead, some still bearing fruit. Homo luzonensis represents one of those branches, fragile, yet vital in showing how intelligence and adaptation weren't exclusive to big-brained species like ourselves. They looked at the toe bones and found that the joint structure gave excellent abilities for climbing. These small humans most probably moved with ease both on the floor follows and in the canopy, mixing endurance with agility. They might have used fire, hunted small prey, or gathered fruits high in the trees. Their island was a harsh paradise peopled by giant lizards, birds, and ancient elephants. To survive meant being creative, and Homo luzonensis clearly mastered that many tens of thousands of years ago. Then they vanished. About 50,000 years ago, they disappear from the fossil record. By this time, modern humans were spreading throughout Asia and into Australia. Did we replace them or breed with them? Was it climate change or volcanic eruptions that wiped them out? Nobody knows. Like the Flores hobbits, it represents an extinction event that is linked to our own. This is where the story takes its most haunting turn. Modern genetic analyses have shown that individuals in parts of Southeast Asia and Oceania retain DNA segments from an unknown ghost hominin, neither Neanderthal nor Denisovan. Could that mysterious ancestor be Homo luzonensis? Without recoverable DNA, it remains speculation. But if proven, it means their genetic legacy would still flow through millions of people today. Perhaps within Filipino or Indonesian genomes lie silent echoes of an ancient island species. But would you want to know if your DNA carried traces of another kind of human? How would it change the way you see yourself? That is what makes Homo luzonensis so exciting. Their anatomy says a lot about human diversity. They remind us that intelligence, creativity, and resilience were not unique to Homo sapiens. The human story is richer, full of forgotten experiments of evolution in their own way, adapting to the ever-changing world. Today, Callao Cave stands as a silent witness to that forgotten chapter. Tourists pass through the very spot where the tiny bones were discovered, and few understand the enormity of what lay buried there. Beneath their feet, another species once lived, loved, raised children, and gazed up at the same stars we see tonight. Suddenly, the gap between them shrinks, almost intimate. New excavations continue across Luzon and neighboring islands. Scientists are deploying advanced ground-penetrating radar, isotopic dating, and DNA capture techniques in hopes of finding preserved genetic fragments. Every new discovery could connect another dot in the human puzzle. Maybe one day, a single tooth or shard of bone will finally yield the genome of Homo luzonensis and prove, once and for all, if their bloodline still courses through ours. But even absent that proof, their story reframes what it is to be human. For so long, we imagined evolution as a race leading inevitably to us. Now we see it differently. A mosaic of species, each successful in their own right, each adding a verse to the song of humanity. Homo luzonensis may be gone, but they are part of that melody, a faint harmony still echoing in ourselves. If this journey into ancient Luzon has sparked your curiosity, subscribe to GenealogyX, where real science and ancestry come together in uncovering the truths hidden in our DNA. For every discovery like this does not just tell us who they were, it tells us who we are. As night starts to fall in the Philippines and the jungle comes alive with noise around Callao Cave, one question lingers in the warm air. How many kinds of humans once walked this earth, and how many of them still live on within us? Next time you look in a mirror, you might consider how ancient that face staring back at you is.